Sam from Weymouth Food Pantry, and this is Pat Riddle from Patricia's Palette. Welcome to Our Living Pantry. Today our theme is what to do with our leftover stale bread. So we're calling it rebread. And we're on our own today, Pat.
We are on our own today. Brian is off and on vacation, so it's just you and me, babe.
I don't know. How can Brian prioritize a lake in where? Maine? New Hampshire?
New Hampshire.
Over us.
Over
That's
us.
just wrong. Anyway.
We're going to give it a go.
We are. Stars of the show today, just the two of us. So Pat, tell us what we're doing.
Yes, so we're going to do 4 things today. We're going to start with a bread pudding, which is one of the great things you can do with any kind of bread that you have left over. And today's bread pudding is going to be blueberry white chocolate with a creme topping. And we're also going to do baked stuffed tomatoes, which we're going to credit Valerie Bicknell, Brian's mother's recipe with. We are going to do a panzanella salad because that has, well, I'll talk about the bread, but they all have bread in them somewhere along the line. And we're going to end with baked French toast dipped in ice cream.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so yummy. I don't know where to start. So Brian's mom, who's doing the stuffed recipe, what's her heritage? Is it just a recipe she has?
It's just a recipe she has. I don't think that it was anything that came from her family necessarily. Just a family favorite, I think, when Brian and his brother were growing up.
Oh, yum. All right. So Brian, we're eating your favorite without you. So
That's right.
all right, onwards.
We're going to start with our blueberry white chocolate bread pudding. I'm going to explain the ingredients. We're going to use cubed bread, about 7 cups or so of that. And we're going to use a couple of cups of blueberries. I'm splitting them between dried blueberries and fresh blueberries. We're going to use about 3/4 cup of white chocolate and our little crema that I'll explain later when we get into it, but it's just white chocolate, cream or milk, and some powdered sugar. Nice, yummy vanilla. This one is a bourbon extract. Sugar, obviously, milk. And this is actually one that we've finished. I split this into 2 parts. So instead of making one large 9x13 pan, I made 2 small pans. And I always have leftover baguette or whatever you have is fine. And one of the things that oftentimes gets left over are hot dog rolls and hamburger rolls. And those can be thrown right in the freezer and defrosted and made into chunks and turned into anything yummy. Today, we're using a baguette. Again, I've split this recipe so there were 3.5 cups of bread cubes in this. We're gonna make a custard now. That's the key to any of these things using bread, that you might be making a bread pudding or a baked French toast bake or an egg bread casserole that soaks overnight. All those things, all those things have in common is that they're made with a custard. And the custard today is 4 cups of milk and 4 eggs and a little bit of nutmeg to enhance it and 2 tablespoons of vanilla. And then we've melted 2 tablespoons of butter and then poured it in when the butter is cool so that we don't get scrambled eggs. So that's the custard: milk, eggs, vanilla, nutmeg, sugar. We did add sugar. Now I'm going to pour that all over the bread. And this is going to take a little time. We're going to pat it down, make sure that everything is moistened. Want that bread to soak up. Some of those are dried because it's a couple of days old baguette, and we want that to drink up that sauce, that bread, to get nice and moist. So we're going to let this sit right now for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to come back. On to our baked stuffed tomatoes. Homage to Valerie Bicknell. We don't know if it's quite the right recipe, but it's close. It's going to be close. Our ingredients today are our tomatoes, and I'll describe that in a minute. In all of our ingredients, we have breadcrumbs, which I'm gonna just explain what I did with these, a little bit of butter, some Parmesan cheese, some basil. I'm gonna show you how to julienne a little bit, and a little Worcestershire for flavor. So, the first thing that we're doing is taking the last of our tomatoes to prep. We need them to stand up straight when they're in the oven. So, we are just gonna cut a little tiny piece off the bottom, and we're gonna make a top, or we're gonna take a little bit of the tomato out. The part that is kind of hard anyway. We just wanna make a well so that our stuffing can fit nicely in. Thank you, Pam.
You're welcome.
Now, we're gonna take our ingredients. The star is our breadcrumbs. And I was mentioning before how one of the things you can do with hot dog rolls and hamburger rolls, that's what I did. I had about a couple of cups of hamburger rolls, and I put them in my food processor. You can put them in your blender, you can just chop them up. And I put them in the oven, just on parchment paper, for about 20 minutes, until they're nice and toasty.
And you can season them too, right, Pat?
You can season too. We're gonna hand season these now, but you could put Italian seasoning in if you wanted to. You could, anything you like, whatever your taste buds tell you to do. Today we're using Valerie's recipe, which is breadcrumbs, toasted breadcrumbs. I think she might use panko. We're using homemade today. And about a cup, so about a cup and a half of breadcrumbs, about a cup of Parmesan cheese, and 2 tablespoons of butter. And we're gonna do a shot or 2 of Worcestershire for flavoring. And then we are going to julienne some basil. And I think Brian has showed us how to do this before. We're gonna make a little bundle of basil, a bundle of basil. And then, keeping my fingers close in, I'm gonna make little ribbons or little strips with my knife. I don't do the rocking method as well as Brian does, but in my own little way, I'm making these ribbons or chiffonades, a chiffonade of basil or julienne of basil. That's gonna be our big seasoning for today. And I just love, as you know, to use fresh herbs whenever they're available. So that's what we're doing today, and that's what Valerie does, so that's what we're doing. We're gonna mix all those ingredients together as I bounce half of them out onto the table. And that little bit of butter will help us get it so it'll hold a little tighter when we mound this up on top of our tomatoes. Everything's kind of yummy, married up here nicely.
So we've used Parmesan cheese over here, right, Pat?
Yes, we have used Parmesan today, but you can use any kind of cheese, as we always say. What's ever in your kitchen, what's in your refrigerator, what's in your pantry, use that. Cheddar cheese would be great. Just about any kind of cheese would be good, as long as it can melt, would be good to put on this.
And the only little thing that I always think about is if you're using Parmesan or feta, it's usually quite salty. So if you're just going with a plain cheddar or even a nice mozzarella, you may want to add a little seasoning to counteract the lack of salt.
We did not put any salt in this today because the cheese, the Parmesan, has quite a bit of salt in it. So per Valerie's recommendation, we didn't put any salt in. But because we cut those little bottoms off, we've got a little, it's very stable. We've got a way for these to stand up straight. I'm kind of overfilling them a little bit, anticipating that there'll be a little, when the tomatoes bake, there might be a little shrinkage. So we want there to be plenty of filling when these are done. And we're gonna bake these on 350 for about a half an hour. and we'll check them because they may cook quicker since I've already toasted these breadcrumbs. So we'll keep an eye on them. We've got lots of stuffing mixed, so that's something that I already know. This is mixed up. I know right now I can put this in the freezer or the refrigerator and use it for a stuffing for something else, like a chicken breast or fish. Anything that you would use a stuffing for, we can use this stuffing as well. Off to the oven. Back to the bread pudding. This has been soaking now for about 15 minutes. Pam has been checking it, making sure that the cubes of bread are all soaking in the custard that we made. So it's ready to go. And we're going to add in now, this is again half a recipe, so it's 3.5 cups of bread with the custard recipe, and I'm putting about 1/4 cup of these little sweet dried blueberries, 3/4 cup of fresh blueberries, and 3/4 cup of white chocolate chips. And then we're going to incorporate all that together. Make sure that we get some of everything everywhere in that custard. We've got the oven on 350, and when I do put it in the oven after this is all done, we're going to let this bake for about 40 minutes. Keep an eye on it. You want the tops, the bread, to puff up all the way around, and you want it to be nice and crusty. And that's going to take a little bit of time. So we want to get some of the berries, some of the chocolate down to the bottom, and some of the bread to the top so it can get crunchy. This is a recipe that you can switch up so many different ways. Again, the bread is one thing that you can switch up, but you can change anything about this bread pudding recipe, whatever fruit that you have. You can make bread pudding so many different ways. You can make it plain, you can add cinnamon, you can add your favorite spices to it. Whatever you like, again, goes in.
My gran used to use canned peaches.
That's a nice combination. Just peaches in a custard with bread. Nice and sweet. Okay, we're ready to put it in the oven, 350 for about 40 minutes. We are making panzanella salad or a Tuscan bread salad using bread that we have, again, reserved or saved. In this case, we're using a baguette again. That's what I have a lot of the time, so that's what we're using today. Cubes of baguette, about 2 cups. And I've been carefully watching them saute or cook, brown up in a skillet with 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter. Nice combination for flavor. You could put other ingredients, other seasonings, other spices in here, but our vinaigrette for this salad is well spiced. So today it's just bread cubes sauteed in olive oil and butter. So you saw me make the croutons, and we want them warm for this salad. We want the vinaigrette to absorb into this. But first I want to talk about the croutons. So this isn't the only thing that you can use them for. In other episodes last week, we used them as a garnish on the gazpacho, one of the garnishes for gazpacho. Today we're going to use it as one of the salad ingredients. You can use these on hot soups too. You can use croutons with Caesar salad, on top of any salad. So versatile. You can keep them, you can crush them, you can put them in meatloaf, anything that can be, you can imagine you can do. So the first thing we're going to do is put these warm ingredients into a larger bowl. And the ingredients that we're using today are tomatoes. I've got some cherry tomatoes from my garden. I've got some heirlooms that I bought. We've got some little Persian cucumbers, some scallions, some julienne of basil that Pam did for us. She did a lovely job on the chiffonade of basil. And we've already chopped all these up. So we're using 2 cups of halved small tomatoes, cherries, heirlooms, grapes, whatever you have, and a cup of little cucumbers that have been diced, and a couple of scallions, and a cup of mozzarella balls. And you could use just mozzarella cubes if you didn't have mozzarella balls. I use mozzarella balls, pearl balls a lot, so that's what I'm using today. And you can substitute other cheeses as well. But it's an Italian Tuscan salad, so that's why we're keeping it really Italian today with the basil, the tomatoes, the mozzarella, all those things. So everything's gonna get dumped. And we're going to mix all those juices up from the tomatoes. That's going to be something that we want to happen to that bread. We want it to absorb all the flavors of the tomatoes, the flavors of all these vegetables. But we also want to get our vinaigrette married into this too. So again, we did a vinaigrette, I think, in episode 1. This is 2 parts olive oil to 1 part vinegar, a little bit of Dijon mustard in this, and some garlic in this, and salt and pepper to taste. This has been sitting out for a while. This salad is really good room temperature. And that's one of the things that happens with that bread. We're gonna get a lot of that. We don't have to use all of the vinaigrette. We're gonna use a bunch of it. I might save a little for the end. And you see how the bread is drinking up that vinaigrette and the tomato juices, all that. It's gonna be yummy. The last thing that we're gonna do is put in our chiffonade of basil. And we're gonna stir it up some more. It smells so good. Can you smell it, Pam?
I can, it smells delicious. Oh my gosh, basil. Makes me hungry.
Yep. And then we're going to plate it. I think I am gonna put all that vinaigrette in here. I want it to drink up all that vinaigrette. Now we're ready.
It's so pretty to look at all those colors.
And I think we might have a few chives from our garden even to put on top. Thank you, Pam. Yum. And we're ready. Voila. They're ready. And we're gonna let them sit and cool. You'll see me use parchment paper a lot when I bake. It makes cleanup so much easier. If you don't have parchment paper, you can use aluminum foil as well. These look very yummy, Valerie Bickle. Thick now. Our second dessert of the day is ice cream French toast. French toast that's been dipped in ice cream. This is a shout out to my friends Terry and Marsha Martinson. They have introduced me to this, so to speak. I'm using challah bread today. It's a sweet bread. It's a Jewish sweet bread. The Portuguese have a sweet bread as well. You can use any bread, like we always say, whatever's hanging around is what you're going to use. I use this recipe, similar recipe. Well, I was intrigued by it because at holiday time I use eggnog to dip French toast in. It's got the nutmeg flavoring. It's holiday. It screams holiday. It's so fun. So when the Martinsons told me about this recipe, I said, we have to try it. So here goes. It's 3 ingredients. It's gonna be 4 thick slices of challah bread or whatever bread you've got, like Texas toast thick. And we're using a pint of melted Haagen-Dazs today. But you could use strawberry, you can use whatever ice cream flavor you like. It could be blueberry, it could be whatever you like. Again, could be anything.
I can't tell you how many times we've gotten home from the store and the ice cream got left in the car or on the counter. So this is not only a re-bread, it's a re-ice cream.
That's right. So we're gonna let these breads soak. We're gonna do 2 at a time here. And we need about 3 minutes on each side to soak. So we're gonna take a little bit of a break while these soak up the ice cream. Our challah slices have been soaking for a few minutes on each side and it looks so good. And we're ready now to put it into the skillet. And we've got 4 tablespoons of butter, and I'm using a skillet that's large enough, I think, to put all 4 slices in. So here we go. The heat that we're using is medium heat. I'm gonna let those sizzle up a little bit on medium, as I say. Looks really good. Again, don't be afraid to use some other flavors that you like. I think I would like blackberry ice cream or some other fruity flavor too. We're gonna let these sit here for a minute. I don't think they're quite ready to turn yet. Nope, not quite ready. You don't want to move them too much. Just let them sit there and sizzle for a little bit. Pam, it kind of does smell like Christmas morning, Pam.
It does. I'm thinking ice cream French toast for breakfast, open presents.
I think this is a new tradition. There we go. That one's not quite done yet. I'm gonna let this hang a little more, but we can flip that again. I'm impressed that the pecans stayed intact a little bit. But we can always grab those at the end and throw them on top, even if we lose one here or there.
I'll have them cooking in the pan in a little bit of butter and sprinkled on top.
Extra pecans.
Extra yum, yeah.
Extra yum. This one's ready to flip. This one might be ready. Yep. This is so decadent that we're not even going to need to add extra butter or syrup. This is going to be all we need right here at the end. Let's see what the other side of this looks like now. Oh, we're getting there. I can smell the pecans for sure. Okay, those are going to take a couple more minutes to finish. We'll take a break and we'll plate it and show you what it looks like in a couple minutes. So our second pan of the blueberry white chocolate bread pudding came out of the oven. It puffed up just like it was supposed to. Everything's like ooey gooey. And our other one is still warm as well. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this simple glaze that we're using today. In place of a creme anglaise, which is basically another thicker egg cream sauce that you have to cook. And we're gonna go over things like this next week when we talk about mother sauces. But a simple glaze for today was just some powdered sugar and some heavy cream and a little bit of vanilla and whatever is hanging around and a little bit of white chocolate. So it picks up the same taste. And we're not gonna glaze that right now, but when we serve it, we'll put a little of that warm glaze on. And with a few mint leaves that Pam so kindly brought out of our garden here at OSU. Join us for dinner.
So the cooking is done, and now we get to tuck in. And I would, say that we really missed Brian this episode, except I get to eat his shea now, so we don't miss him that much. But I'm really excited. So can I go ahead and
Please
dish up?
help yourself
Oh my gosh,
to the panzanella.
the salad looks just amazing. So
And by
colorful.
now, all the juices of the vegetables and that vinaigrette will have soaked into our bread, our repurposed bread. That'll be fun. Thank you, Pam.
You're welcome. So these are some fun ideas that you can do with, bread that's gone, past the stale, or you've missed it by a day or two or whatever. These tomatoes look amazing. We've shown you how to do croutons, we've shown you how to do breadcrumbs and French toast and a bread pudding. So that's a good variety of options for you. And while we're cooking, we're like, especially me, Pat's much better at it, but I'm a little of this, little of that kind of girl, so
Oh, I'm a lot of that too, again, and that's what we want you guys at home and to do, is just do what tastes you like and to mix it up.
Right, and don't be afraid to try things or use an ingredient that maybe we haven't mentioned, and let us know what you think or how it came out.
Right.
But we also know there's many of you who need a little more guidance and more specifics. And so we have all of our recipes as a reminder on our website, weymouthfoodpantry.org/Our Living Pantry. There's a button you click and they're all there.
And they'll be on the OSU Facebook page, and they'll be on my page, and probably Brian's pages as well. You can pick up all of them. And that way you know you're getting the exact recipes. Because sometimes when we cook, we kind of might forget things here and there. We're telling you the basic ingredients. But
We're
the exact,
excited.
yeah,
We
we're
get swept up.
Yeah, we get swept up in the day and the moment. But all the exact recipes are always available. Yeah, I want to taste this panzanella salad. There's so many recipes for these out there. The croutons are really good.
They are.
Really fun.
I'm amazed that they're so crunchy.
But they
They're
have
sort
the
of a
flavor.
crunch, but they have a lot of flavor. And so, tomatoes, cucumbers, these are all things that are coming out of our garden right now. And, I went up there just now to get the mint leaves for the dessert, and the storm had wiped out our trellises and knocked over a few cages. So we were doing some damage control while I was there. My favorite thing about the garden that we have here at Old South, our Food Pantry Garden, is not just these fresh ingredients that come out of it. When I did go upstairs get the mint, and I saw the trellises and I was picking them up, we had one of our neighbors pop into the garden with a basket, and she was picking a few things for dinner. And every time I'm out there or I get here, there's somebody in the garden, or I can see somebody's gone through and picked a few things, and it makes my heart so happy.
That's why it's there.
That's why it's there. And that's, it's been such a terrific partnership with Old South. Many of our volunteers coming from the parish, and it's been so well supported. So I just feel like it's a really happy partnership.
It is a happy partnership.
Oh my gosh, these are good.
Valerie's stuffed tomatoes are excellent. I have to say, I want to move on and taste some of these desserts. Would you like to split one of these ice cream French toasts with me?
Oh, I would love that. I'm going in for Valerie's stuffed tomatoes.
It's very good.
Oh my, this is delicious. I think you have to be a tomato person to love this recipe. Thankfully I am. So I'm gonna tuck right in. But it occurred to me you could stuff peppers with a similar kind of stuffing.
Absolutely. You can put rice in it. Stuffing is stuffing. You can stuff with whatever stuff you got. Now I'm gonna.
And these crumbs that we put on top of the stuffing would be really wonderful on top of a baked pasta dish like lasagna or a ziti or something. They've got a nice crunch, nice flavor. And so easy. Bread, processor, in the oven to toast for a few minutes until nice and golden brown and done.
And I'm gonna put some of this nice warm crema, this powdered sugar, white chocolate cream crema on.
Oh my goodness.
And that'll do us in. Yummy. Yeah, so we've
Trying
got
this first.
entree foods and desserts.
These are perfect options for right now in the summer
Right.
and in time for the holidays.
I think that Brian and I were talking too. We're going to throw in an episode about holiday cooking. So later on in the fall, we've got lots of things happening. We'll be doing cooking sessions with things coming out of the garden later on. And we're also going to talk about a holiday menu for everybody. It'll be fun. And next week we're going to do mother sauces.
Now, I have to say, in these savory recipes with the croutons, they taste bready. And I came into this bread pudding thinking of like a slice of bread with something sweet on it, but it is so cakey.
It's very cakey.
It doesn't taste like bread at all. It's really, really delicious. It tastes fresh and yummy and sweet and like pass me the pan.
And that's the thing about these custard things with breads. As I mentioned earlier, you can make a baked French toast with whatever bread you've got hanging around with this custard. That's just a mix of cream and milk and eggs and whatever flavorings you like. You can make it sweet, you can make it savory. So bread is a really good thing to have extra hanging around. You can turn it into so many things. And it doesn't taste like bread.
And are you a breakfast for dinner kind of person?
Yes, and we're going to do a session on that as well.
We are.
Yeah, we're going to teach everybody how to make the muffin tin frittatas at some point too.
Those have been really popular at the Food Pantry. People love them. In fact, I think there's people that come
Just for the
those.
frittatas.
So I wasn't sure again what to expect with those French toast with ice cream. But it's very French toasty. It's nothing unexpected, but it is delicious.
Tastes exactly like French toast.
So good. Anyway, I'm so glad you could join us. I hope that you feel inspired and will try some of these things at home. I'm talking with food in my mouth. My mom would kill me. It's okay. Be adventurous. And what did I want to finish with? Oh yes, the blueberries. So blueberries don't need great soil. So if you have a little bit of space and you want to try grow your own, I can highly recommend it because they need a bit of watering the first year, but once they're established, they'll pretty much hold their own, even in dry weather. Like now, when I went into the garden, some other things needed watering, but the blueberries were fine. So they're an easy first step for a gardener because they really need no attention at all, and they just give and give and give. But you might have to fight the birds for the fruit. Anyway, thank you, Pat. This was incredible. So delicious.
Great.
Right? And thank you for joining us. We're so glad you came, and we hope that there's something here that you feel like I have to try that.
And thanks, Pam, for being my right-hand gal today, too.
Yeah, I was joking earlier that I'm not as pretty as Brian, but I'll try hard. All right.
Gorgeous.
Take care, everyone. Thank you so much.